Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of SEO Talk, where we discuss all things related to SEO and organic traffic growth. My name is Alex, and I'm your host. And today, we have unexpectedly a very beautiful day here in Eindhoven, and I'm based in the Netherlands, if you don't remember. And meanwhile, let us know where you are joining us from and how the weather is in your area. So moving to our today's topic of our life, right? It's going to be about the most influential links that you need to build nowadays and what kind of link that should be. We have three fantastic guest speakers who can't wait to introduce themselves to you. Hi, Chris. How are you doing today?
I am very good. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for having me.
Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Chris Panteli, the co-founder of Linkify. We are a digital PR link building agency based in the UK, but we have a fully remote team. And we build white hat editorially earned media links for our clients, which we believe are the best links that you can get. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that as the podcast progresses. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much for joining us, Chris, today. And I think your perspective will be invaluable in our conversation because you guys do mostly digital PR, right? And that is something that is, I believe, in very high demand nowadays. Hi, Jasper. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Alex. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for asking.
Excellent, excellent. So my name's Jasper. I'm a director here at Proper Engine. We're a family-based link building agency based in Cheshire, in the UK. We've been running for about 9 years now. So we focus on doing outreach to get links on relevant and authoritative sites. And looking forward to having a chat.
Thank you very much for joining us, Jasper, today. May I ask you, what kind of links are you mostly guys after? So just to understand a little bit, right? So we have Chris that is doing more like digital PR, editorial links, and what about you guys? So I understand a little bit more your background.
Of course, yeah, no worries at all. So we build guest posts and niche edits, mainly for SEO agencies. So agencies that need links at scale. So hundreds of links a month for their clients. And we build guest posts and niche edits for them. And we'll do that by outreaching to sites that are relevant within their niche, that are ranking for the keywords that they want to rank for in the SERPs.
Cool. So you kind of work literally with any niche, right?
Yes. We've worked with some weird and wonderful niches. A couple of years ago, we worked with a guy who was selling these Japanese toilets that would speak to you. So we work with some crazy niches. E-commerce, CBD, any niche really, except for some stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, nice. And thank you very much, Chris, for joining us today as well. Could you please tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Vince Nero, I'm Director of Content Marketing at BuzzStream. If you don't know, BuzzStream's an end-to-end email outreach platform for digital PRs and link builders. I have been here for about a year now. Before this, I worked at content marketing agencies that did link building and digital PR, Siege Media, Grit Group. I was in-house for a bit. But now, yeah, it's been great to kind of be on the other side of things and just kind of focusing on educating and teaching people, the way to do it, build links the right way.
And you have access to all the data, to all possible email outreach campaigns. So you know what we do exactly as link builders, right?
It's true. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. And yeah, I mean, it's great. I have access to, some of the top minds, as I like to say, but like the customers that use BuzzStream, it's like I can tap them for their experience and insights and stuff. So it's been a great learning experience as well for me.
Yeah, nice. So we basically have very different experts, right, with very different background. And I think it's great, right, just because this panel is all about, kind of combining different minds and seeing, right, different perspectives. around link building and SEO. And I have the very first question, right, about link building today compared to 10 years ago, because I think a lot of things have changed, right, during this time. And I just want to ask you, Jasper, right, what are the biggest changes that you've seen so far if we compare link building when you started your journey, right, as a link builder, and what we see at the moment, right?
Sure. So, I mean, 10 years ago, I mean, if you're talking like pre-Penguin, I wasn't really building links then. I was a bit younger, but obviously link building then was so much easier in terms of, for a lot of people, they could buy PBNs, rank their sites very easily. It was just a sheer volume of links back then. Penguin came, changed link building. Obviously, things are a lot different now in terms of you're looking for quality links, you're looking for links that are from relevant sites, you're looking for links that get traffic, that are ranking for the same keyword as you're ranking for. Very, very different to what it was pre-Penguin or 2014, that sort of time. So it's the quality. Google's obviously got smarter from then, so Google knows the certain sites that are link farms, so they'll know which sites that that are not quality links that you don't want to get from. So I'd say it's a lot harder. It's probably the biggest change in the last 10 years. It's a lot harder to get links, and you've got to be a lot smarter with your offers and your outreach.
Yeah, that is true. But what do you think about, since you guys do real outreach, right? And there are still, it's not a secret, right, that there are still a lot of agencies and, freelancers that are selling links from spreadsheets and from, in a similar way. Do you think this is still something that you can rely on, consider, right? Or is just not really worth your effort?
Are you talking about actually buying links itself?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter, right? Because, some people, they can kind of share with you some spreadsheets, and they might kind of include some genuine websites. But the problem there that if, right, for me, right, what I see, if, this website is ended up in this type of a spreadsheet, in this type of list, then most probably it's quite easy to get a link there. And then the value of the link is a little bit missing out, if you know what I mean. If anyone can get a link, right, then there is not much you can get from this link, and the value is not there.
Sorry to interrupt, Alex. I think, for sure. I think sites that are on spreadsheets that are getting sent to you on LinkedIn every single day, these sites are just absolutely no value at all, and that is a problem. That obviously there's sites out there that are just being made to sell links, right? And that's what a lot of these sites are. They're essentially glorified PBNs in a lot of ways, and
so that's PBNs are still alive.
They're still. Well, I mean, the reality of the situation is a lot of people can rank some pages today with PBNs. That's just what happens, right? But if you're looking to do this for a business and for your brand, then you need to obviously have a different method to that, because the risk is not worth the reward, essentially. So the resellers that are selling links on these lists, if you check most of these sites, they're just garbage anyway, and that should be the qualification of what is a good quality link. And I think that's probably something that we're probably going to get more into as we go on. But you should be looking at a site and going through the metrics, and there should be a various number of components which you say that is a good link to get from. So most of the time, I mean, what we do when I get sent a list like that, I just put it on our blacklist. That's that we have in house. So we just put it on the blacklist. So anyone that sends me those lists it just helps us really. So. And I think everyone should be doing that. They should be having their own blacklist of sites, especially if you are link building at scale.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Chris, what do you think about link building nowadays and in comparison of 5-10 years ago? What are the biggest changes, right, that happened?
Yeah, well, speaking specifically about digital PR link building, so one of the first like forays into the world of digital PR link building would have probably have been the platform Harrow, which was founded over 15 years ago now. So 15 years ago, there was a wide-scale opportunity for SEOs to hijack a platform which was meant to connect journalists with sources. And that was obviously seen and exploited by SEOs in order to be able to get backlinks, which is great. And 10, 15 years ago, when this opportunity was first available, people were able to answer these queries from journalists and land links on massive tier 1 publications, what Google might see as like seed websites, so super authoritative websites. But what's changed massively in the past 10 years, 5 years, and we're seeing even more so with the onset of AI, is one's ability to land those links has become somewhat harder. If you think that landing these sorts of links is meant to be a brand building activity, the reason you want quote unquote Harrow links is because you want to get featured on household name publications in order to build your brand. But 10, 15 years ago, you could do this as a marketing manager from a dodgy website, or the SEO leader website, or just a fake persona profile. Whereas now, in order to land brand building links, you need to position yourself as a brand, because journalists are changing the way that they read the responses, the way that they verify the people behind the responses. They want to bolster their articles. They want to get away from any whiff of AI or plagiarism. So the game has changed. However, I think it's a golden era for this sort of link building, just because there are so many people that haven't changed with the times. So a journalist's inbox will be filled with 100 emails, let's say, 80% of which will be AI generated garbage spam. So we have a real opportunity to stand out in amongst the crowd with quality pitches, but the old ways don't work. You can't just be a faceless AI fake profile bot image from a website that looks like garbage and expect to land links on New York Times, BBC, Forbes. So
yeah, but I think also, there are a few things in my understanding that really influence the end result of digital PR campaigns using Harrow and similar platforms, because it's kind of, the more people now know about that type of websites from one side, then we have finally AI that is also making things way more challenging, because one more time, they receive a lot of garbage answers, right? And they're quite frustrated about this as well. So, it's kind of really, the landscape is no longer the same. And I agree with you, Chris, that, you need to really cut through the noise, right? And then you really need to bring something to the table that is not really, something extremely valuable, most probably. And that's no longer as easy as it was, right? 10 years, 5 years ago. Because the value is also a little bit, the perception of the value has changed as well. Just because people 100%. Are becoming more sophisticated, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were lucky that we were like sort of in the trenches when the first sort of let's say version 1 AI writing tools came out. I don't know if anyone remembers, there's like AppSumo deals that you could get of these like AI writing tools. So there was like this window of opportunity where you could use these tools whilst doing like inbound journalist requests, and you could quite effectively utilize the speed factor in answering journalists, because you had access to these AI tools. And there was this like small window where we were able to land like lots of really good links quickly. But as soon as AI became available to the masses, then everybody was just answering every query, which means now the game has changed. You have to level up your responses. You have to be right in as a verifiable expert with content that is basically not AI. I mean, you can use AI, but you have to be like demonstrably proving to the journalists that you haven't. So it's a real balancing act, which is the inherent nature of using AI anyway, I think.
Yeah, that is very true. And what about you, Vince? Because you used to work at an agency site, right? Then you switched to a tool that is basically delivering email outreach campaigns. And what will be your biggest takeaway in terms of what have changed so far, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree with both of you guys, Jasper and Chris. Like, the methods have changed for sure. It just used to be way easier. I think from my perspective, to add something new, seeing what works for a lot of the BuzzStream customers, it's like the days of email blasts to a million journalists, 1,000 journalists on a list, are kind of behind us. It seems like the people that really do well are the ones that are taking this really relevant kind of personalized approach, making sure each journalist is the exact right fit for their coverage, for their content that they're pitching, or their commentary, expert commentary, that sort of thing. So I think there's less websites out there that are valuable, and there's been an influx of people to digital PR who are trying to use the same tactics that worked with old-fashioned link building and trying to use it to kind of game the system. So what you're finding is there's just a lot more noise. So yeah, there's less journalists. There's especially in the UK, there's journalists getting laid off. There's more digital PRs now sending to less journalists, and there's just a lot more noise in their inboxes. So you really have to focus in on what exactly they're pitching, the value of what you're pitching. And to me, I think that's kind of the differentiator between what these kind of lower tier agencies are doing or digital PRs versus the really successful ones out there, like Jasper and Chris, like you guys that are doing the work the right way, is really getting that relevancy down, I think.
Yeah, that is very true. I've just kind of realized that one of the best pitches might be whenever you want to pitch something to journalists, we kind of, if you're a digital PR manager, you might write down something like, we know that, we have less journalists than digital PR managers nowadays, so I will be shocked. Or something like that.
Yeah. And I'll actually add too, which is kind of like this interesting misconception or whatever you want to call it. I don't necessarily think journalists need that approach that you take in the traditional link building realm, where it's like, hey, you wrote this article, I really loved XYZ about it. It seems to me, at least everybody I talk to, especially in the UK, it's like journalists just don't have the time and they don't necessarily care. I mean, unless you really want to make this lasting impression and build a relationship with which most people, especially an agency that are concerned with scale, just don't have the time to do that. I think that you're better off focusing on the relevancy. You can personalize maybe the subject line, right? But yeah, the tactics are a little bit different, I think, from the traditional link building 10 years ago as well. It shifted a bit into how you focus in on your personalization and relevancy.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
Vince,
that is one of the biggest challenges. Yeah, Chris, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, sorry, I was just going to say, and Vince, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're on the precipice of seeing like some quite significant changes from Google and Microsoft in terms of like email deliverability. And so sending out an identical campaign with zero personalization to like 100 journalists is not only not beneficial because you'll have a lower open rate, click-through rate, and you'll actually also be damaging your domain reputation as well.
Yeah, they put out new email guidelines February of this year. I think they went into account in March officially, and it was basically that, like, they call it bulk senders, where if you're sending out to more than, I might screw this up, 5,000 personal email addresses within a 24-hour period, that they will be marked as spam. So So if you don't have a couple of these specific things, DMARC, authentication, so yeah, they're really cutting down on the spam. I mean, that's what it kind of gets down to. It's the email blasts, the unpersonalized stuff that I'm sure you all get in your emails.
I just want to share, I think it works quite well because I used to receive tons of pitches from lead generation agencies. Most probably you guys did the same, and now they all go straight to the spam folder. So, because I used to really kind of have them quite, a lot per day. And now they all disappear. I thought, what did happen with them? And they just went straight to the spam folder. And
I still get some slip through. I had one the other day that said,
quick question, right? My favorite one is quick question.
Yeah, quick question is a
quick, right?
Yeah, but mine said quick question, open brackets, insert name, close brackets. So I thought, oh, good.
Oh, yeah, that is a nice one, right?
Good one. A good one. Yeah, Chris, it's interesting too. And I'm curious if you guys have found this, but, for me being in this role in the past year, like this is probably the most tumultuous year in this industry that I've been in. I've been in SEO like the past 10 years or something, but like we had, I think in order, it was like helpful content update and then the spam guidelines. Then we had the Google leak and then AI overviews came out. And all of this, I think triggered this move that a lot of people are doing, this move over to digital PR because of the need for like genuine new content, data-driven content, personalized pitching. So yeah, I think all the scales are kind of tipped in the kind of digital PR favor these days.
Yeah, I think people are losing trust as well. I think in terms of Google, a big YouTuber dropped a video this week, and I can't remember his name, who basically just slating Google and the results that's coming out. And I think people are losing trust in Google, and what the benefits of digital PR does is that it's not just link building, but it's brand building as well. Being featured on these websites is building the brand. It's another form of traffic from. It's another form of traffic from a different. These sites are now massive authority that just Google's trusting right now. So yeah, it's definitely changed massively, especially in the past 12 months as well. You spot on, Vince. It's been pretty crazy. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I wanted, I've recently had a chat with BB. You must probably know her, right? And she's one of the smartest link builders on the market, I have to say. And she's more like into doing email outreach, genuine outreach. And she told me that with all the recent changes that happened, and I quite agree with her because we've noted the same trend, but I just wanted to ask you guys whether you see the same, that she used to write, well, we are all kind of a little bit reusing our databases just because if we've been successful with negotiation with a particular editor, then we are going to reach out to the same editor just because, right, if we have the one more time, the relevant opportunity we want to talk about. And she told me that her database, due to all the updates that Google made, shrink even like 5 times. Just because, with all the changes and reconsideration of search engine results and giving less priority to sites that are not representing big brands, she really lost more than half of her database. And now it's really, really hard to actually substitute this loss. Do you feel the same about that?
Yeah, we lost about 30-40% of our database as well, just because we analyzed traffic trends.
Exactly. She told me the same. They lost all the traffic, so it's no longer usable.
Some of them have recovered, right? So over the past updates and people changing things, some of them have recovered, but not a lot of them. So yeah, it's something that I think affected a lot of link builders. A lot of link builders that I spoke to, their database had shrunk. Ones that analyze traffic trends and traffic location, especially, a lot of them had lost that. But yeah, I think it's just part and parcel of now just trying to find new sites, and that is why digital PR is so important with, in my opinion, other quality links as well.
Yeah, but Chris, in your situation, right, you most probably don't do a lot of email outreach, but you work with journalists. Do you see any changes in how journalists are reacting to your pitches and, in the way you are kind of, in the overall process of laying links for your clients? Just because I think Haro is no longer quite a good source of leads just because of the overcrowded space, and you really need to substitute with something else, and most probably that is also quite problematic.
Yeah, I mean, we do. Haro is now connectively, so I call that inbound, and we also do outbound as well. So that's where we're like building databases of journalists and then outreaching to journalists with the story. So we cover the full gamut of digital PR in that regard. And like Vince said, the number of journalists, especially in the UK, has decreased slightly. However, I'm not seeing. I think the reduction in journalists and therefore opportunities of like number of publications to reach out to may have shrunk, but I think there's been an increase in the number of remaining journalists wanting to include experts within their stories. I think journalists write in for major publications that have to satisfy the needs of their editors, their management. These stories, they need clicks, they need to drive traffic in order for these journalists to keep their jobs and for the publication to make money. And obviously these publications are reliant on Google traffic as well for their ad revenue and whatnot. So everybody is understanding the value on both sides of the transaction. So the SEOs wanting to get these links in order to build their brand and align themselves with tier one publications with tens of thousands and millions of organic monthly sessions. But also the journalists understand the value of having a qualified accountant giving a quote on an article that they've written about recent tax changes in the UK, or having a verified fitness instructor to provide some comment alongside their article about X, Y, and Z to do with fitness. So both sides of the party see the understanding, which is why it's worked so well for, not just the past 10, 15 years, as SEOs have been trying to get links via digital PR, but digital PR as a profession is hundreds of years old. So I think that won't change. We just have to change the way we play the game depending on what rules get thrown into us, all of the changes, and AI is obviously a big thing. So yeah, lots changing, lots happening, but the core principles of it I think are pretty solid.
Yeah, I agree that digital PR remains the same, even though we kind of see some changes in terms of AI, right? Maybe the challenge that are associated with reaching out to editors and, kind of overcoming, right, all these obstacles. But otherwise, I think the core remains the same. Okay, and I just think I want to ask the main question, right, that we actually wanted to discuss. And I think that is something that our listeners would love to hear. So Vince, what type of links are the most influential in your opinion, and why? Because you see, right, how we are as link builders delivering links, and most probably you see the most successful cases, right? And you used to work for an agency, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it is interesting to Chris's point, like not a lot has changed. I think we've just, the things that have come out have reinforced what we already know, right? So I think the most influential links from my perspective are those hyper relevant, top tier, and I'll add this because I think it's interesting. A well-known brand, I think, is what really is going to start to move the needle, because I think that checks off a lot of other boxes. Well-known brands typically have the budget to do SEO the right way. They do already have the high authority. They do already have a lot of traffic. They are moving in the right direction when you look at their traffic trajectory or their link trajectory. They just kind of have a lot more going for them. So it's kind of like a shortcut answer. But I think that is also fulfills some of what Google is looking at in addition to links. I think Google does look at clicks. So like realistically, if you're hoping to get link value from a site, you want the one that is getting clicked on a lot, right? So that's what these top tier links are. I mean, it just kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think it might be good to add that I would be also looking for not only SEO value, but some brand value, like digital PR links can bring, right? Just because you can use them in different ways, not only to close your SEO needs, but also, you know, in your sales pitching process, for instance, right? In order to convert faster your clients in your lead funnels and so on. Because I think these links, they are kind of, can be used in very different ways. And that is the reason why they might be especially influential and beneficial. Jasper, what do you think, right? What will be the best links we can build nowadays?
So I'm going to use that typical SEO answer and say it depends. But I think basically, if you're an SEO agency and you've got loads of local clients, pitching a digital PR campaign is going to be really difficult for them. Actually, they haven't got the funds to do that. They haven't got the budget to do that. So in a lot of these cases, some guest posts in niche edits, a handful of these are actually going to move the needle. They're going to get them the best ROI possible, right? So in those cases, for those sort of clients, it may be that guest posts, niche edits, some citations, a press release may be perfect for them. It's going to give them the best ROI, and that's great for them. If you're looking at the more e-commerce, if you're looking at bigger brands, they're going to need a services like Chris. They're going to need digital PR to step them above the game and get links that, you know, their competitors want. And that's going to be a most effective in there. I think we don't know what it will be like in the next 5 or 10 years time. It could be that, you know, more savvy business owners from a local point of view may think, hey, well, why don't I just do a digital PR campaign? I'm going to destroy my competitors right now. And therefore, over time, when these local clients, you know, or smaller sites work that out, it may be more feasible to do that. But I think right now, it just completely depends on the site. What's not changed is that the most effective sites are the highest authority ones and the most relevant ones, right? And that is just a fact. The ways that you go about them is just going to be different, right? And I think the best way to get them is obviously digital PR, especially if you're trying to do hyper relevant campaigns as well. So it does depend but in straight talking facts, it probably is just a digital PR link that's going to push the needle more than anything. If someone offers me a link on the BBC, I'm going to take that over 10 guest posts. Do you know what I mean? So it's that. But I think you've got to just do a strategy based on what your client needs.
Yeah, that is very true. And I just want to add something about the right context, because I think with the rise of AI and all these AI reviews, right, that we see in search engine results, it's especially important to put your links in the right context. Because otherwise, you're not going to be eligible to be shown in these AI reviews because the context will be misleading. And then, Google and any other search engine can't connect the dots. So, whenever we are talking about smaller businesses, hyper-local businesses, they really should be very careful when they, in what kind of content they get links, because if it's a little bit, even slightly misleading, they might trigger a lot of problems just because now it's a bit different. And
Sure.
The logic of how you are going to be shown in these AI reviews is obviously based on the context.
Sure. I think if I don't know how it's going to affect local in terms of, let's say, I don't know, local plumber or something like that. I don't think the AI overviews are going to, take that traffic. We'll see. But yeah, I definitely think in terms of, if you are going to do sort of that guest post in niche edits, it has to be super relevant. And that's the benefit that you can get with those sort of links, those blogs, is that they are more relevant. So yeah.
So don't really, if you're an apple, don't try to call you an orange, because otherwise you're not going to be showed for apples and you will end up being excluded. Yeah, even though they're all fruits, because I know a lot of planners, right, that the kind of, they say, oh yeah, it's not really a big problem because the site is so good and we are going to get this link, despite not so relevant, content and so on, just because maybe the page is getting traffic. And that is actually quite a challenging situation when the client wants links from a page that are getting organic traffic or something like that. But, the contexts are not the best one there. And then you're ending up with a bunch of links that are kind of driven by desire of getting the best out of their current budget. But that is actually quite a mess. And that will take a lot of time to clean this shit at the end of the day, because you will, one more time, you are getting very misleading links. So think over that, what are the most important things, because it might look like you want to, one more time get links from pages that are getting traffic. But at the end of the day, if the context is not so good, I don't really think it's a good idea. Okay, Chris. Yeah. And what about you, right? What will be your biggest advice on links?
Okay, so I agree with Jasper in what he said. I think there's so many variables. I believe that you should be doing digital PR link building as a like straight off the bat, just because it's so safe. That's what we sell. That's sort of all we sell. I believe in it. I think it's a white hat sort of link building, and I think it goes above and beyond the algorithmic SEO benefits of the link juice. If you're going to get manually reviewed by a human in a Google rater, or if your customers are going to land on your page, if they can see that you've been featured in huge publications, the benefits go far above that of just the link. But like Jasper said, it's if I personally owned a casino website that made a shit ton of money, then I wouldn't just be doing digital PR, because my competitors are spending 100K a month on niche edits and guest posts. So if I want to continue to make money, I need to invest my budget in the link building that is going to keep me in line with my competitors. But I do think digital PR is a way to insulate yourself against your other link building efforts. I also think you should be extremely strategic as well. So if I had a website and I had one particular money page that was making me a lot of money and it slipped to page 2 or 3, once I'd done my content audits and rejigged some schema and all of that stuff, if it still wasn't getting back up to where I wanted it to be, then I'm going to assume I need to buy 1 or 2 couple of very well placed high quality niche edits or guest posts in order to get that back up. So even if I built 1,000 BBC links to the homepage, is it going to move my money page up the 2 or 3 spots that I need it to move up? So I think there's so many variables. I think if one thing I disagree with Jasper on is, I think local SEO is amazing for digital PR. The UK media loves plumbing stories, mechanic stories, any local home service businesses, they love that shit. So they can just do that themselves.
Yeah, I know, because you know what, Chris, it's really like something that you can understand very well, because whenever you kind of pitch something big, it's not really resonates so well with their audience. So yeah, it's understandable.
Do you have like a lot of like plumbers and stuff like that, or do they come to you for campaigns?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Amazing. We wrap them up quickly as well, because like I said, it's moving so much more towards being a verified expert. And then if you couple that with being within what I call like a PR friendly niche, which is sort of anything that resonates with the public. So, if you own an email deliverability SaaS company, it's pretty hard to do digital PR with that. I mean, we can do
almost impossible. I think the topic wouldn't be like, we opened a pizza, on the corner, and then it's going to work.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what they are, 100% experts in that. And then a lot of the big surviving authority sites that you would put in the same bracket, tier 1 publications, they tend to be in these like, broader PR friendly topics like home and design and real estate and these sorts of topics, which means that there's lots of inbound queries from journalists and writers looking for stuff. I don't think it's the right sort of links a local service business should start with. Like you said, they want their citations, they're going to want some directory links, these sorts of things. But I definitely think it's something they can do and engage with and do really well with.
Is that something that you find in the States as well? Because a lot of the agencies that we work with in the States who do local are just like getting a handful of guest posts and niche edits. Is that maybe something they should explore as well?
Yeah, 100%.
Perfect.
US local service businesses, is inbound. So that's connectively quoted responses. All of the inbound journalist requests. US links is predominantly local service for that sort of link build, that sort of PR link building. And then UK local service businesses is outbound to UK media. That's where the Sun. You've seen them. The red top tabloids. Plumber says how to stop a leaky tap, and blah 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 blah. They love it, and they are plumbers. So it's not SEO manager from plumbersworld.com says no one wants to hear from an SEO manager. They want to hear from a plumber. So yeah, I think
we're probably going to do that after this, Chris. There's probably people I can put you in touch with. So we'll have to chat, mate.
Yeah, I also need to have a chat with you. I realize because we also have some people that are kind of building, pets, cages for pets, on your backyard or something like that in the US. So
pest control is an amazing space.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone loves, dogs and whatever. Yeah, for sure. It's understandable.
Yeah, local in the US has a lot, that's why I think you see a lot more of the city study type of city index type of stuff working here. And what they usually do is if you're a travel company or whatever, you're doing best cities for running or something, and you would break it up instead of just doing the US population, the top cities, you would do large population cities, medium populated cities, and small populated cities, so that then you can feature some of those small cities that don't get a lot of news, and all of a sudden they're thrilled to be on a list that they were the top 10 rated city, and it's just some middle America small town.
Yeah, that seems to be a good strategy actually, looking for, maybe smaller states or smaller cities, right? Yeah, that's where the demand is not so high if you don't really need to go very geo-targeted. Yeah,
for sure. And I'll say too, at least my experience with the US is quoted. I think Chris, you kind of hit this, but quoted seems to be the best for, and featured is another one. Source of sources is the new one that
the new one from Peter Shankman,
from Peter, who originally created Harrow before it was sold to Cision. So those three, I think, are the best for those inbound requests. But then the other thing I would say that was interesting, I talked to someone from this agency called SEO Travel that specifically works with travel brands in the UK with very small budgets. And she said, and I'm curious if you guys run into this, but instead of using those platforms that will pull in those inbound requests, she just goes to journo requests, has alerts set up on Twitter for journo requests. And because those are usually the first instance of those, and then the tools pick up those and collect them all together. So if you're tuned into Twitter, you can jump on those quicker than any of those
but tools. I think Twitter is a little bit dying, not feeling very well.
but I do think journalists still use it in threads as well. Seems like a lot of journalists are on threads these days, especially in the UK, for that kind of stuff. The journal request is still alive.
And what's great as well is if you monitor, we do everything. We monitor all the hashtags across the socials, plus pull them in. You don't want to miss anything. Sometimes a journalist will only post one place. But a good thing is as well, journalists, they're pretty lazy. So if you give good commentary, either as yourself as an expert or as a PR agency representing clients, if you give that journalist really good commentary, a really good expert, they use it in their article does well, their editor pats them on the back and they say, you did really good job on that story. That journalist will come back to you directly and say, I'm doing another story. Have you got quotes from that same expert, or have you got any other experts you can give me quotes for? So it's great to start building those relationships, nurture them, and then it will be the gift that keeps on giving as well.
You could like reach out to build those relationships too. Like if you have a local client, like find the journalists that cover that, reach out and be like, hey, I have this client. If you ever need, like then you're on their radar, because when it is something super niche, like people are scrambling, journalists are scrambling for that stuff. So that's another great tip that I had received lately, and I think that's gold. I mean, it's like traditional PR 101, right? But like, sometimes
people
you get
don't.
overlooked.
Yeah.
Because of the SEO heist nature of it, it's like just get the link, get the link. And then
Yeah, it's all about transaction, right? That's how we are made of. To be completely honest, because sometimes we are also sacrificing, like why people are so transactional. Then you're like, oh, can you please give me a link? That's what I'm going to get back from you. Can you please explain me?
Yeah, and that was the biggest, I think, change I've seen is from when I started. Like the very first campaigns I used to send were like infographic pitches to bloggers, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is amazing," And then like over time, it was like somebody put out some course that was like, "Hey, you could get paid for this," and then you just see like every blogger uses the same template, and they all have the same like monetization, platform, and all of a sudden everybody asks for money. So yeah, I mean. And I don't fault them for it. Like if you can get the money, go get the money. But like it just makes link builders' jobs.
Whenever it's scalable, or whenever it gets, to a certain degrees of scalability, then it's just kind of the strategy is dead. I would say that was easy. Thank you very much for the great conversation, guys. And I have the very last question to you. Where can our listeners connect with you? What will be the best way to connect with you? So, Chris, could you please share with us?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Christopher Panteli, or Twitter is Linkify _ I think, or Chris@Linkify.io.
Thank you very much, Chris, for joining us today. What about you,
Thanks,
Vince?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter as well, Vince the Nero, but I'm mostly on LinkedIn. So yeah, definitely hit me up there.
Thank you very much, Vince, for joining us today. And guys, be sure to connect with Vince on LinkedIn. And what about you, Jasper? LinkedIn?
So yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, just Jasper Morris. I'm also on Instagram now, jasper.morris98. So yeah, feel free to connect on there.
Okay, thank you very much one more time for joining us today. It was a pleasure and honor of being your host, and I think we've discussed tons of different topics, tips and tricks, not only the most influential links, but we went way beyond this topic, and I really appreciate all your insights. And one more time, thank you very much for joining us today, and wishing you a very, very nice day. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.